This is Gandalf's house. It's one of my favorite examples of a good pet setup if you're going to be keeping your bunny outside day and night sometimes. Again, he's just got chicken wire or poultry netting fencing with some T-posts and occasionally wrapping around the trees there, and then some large pieces of wood, which are some fence posts and then some barn log running across the side. And Gandalf, of course, being a boy, here's Gandalf. He's not going to dig as much, and when he has girls over, they're not going to be pregnant, so they don't dig as much. So it's not as big of a concern with him trying to dig out. Most of the boys don't do that, and Gandalf certainly doesn't. Here's Gandalf here. Hey fella, what are you doing? Just ignoring us? And he has a girl with him as well. He's got Marin is in here somewhere. So this is the rest of the setup. And here his fencing with some rocks running along. And then more fence here with poultry netting running, and then rocks on the ground. I know the netting's kind of hard to see in the sun. There we go, and more poultry netting. And the fence wraps around here. And here's Gandalf's house, which was actually, it used to be a bird cage. We've never had any birds here, but someone else did. So this is where Gandalf hangs out all day. And then at night, we of course shut him in. And here's his food and water setup. You can tell there's some digging going on here at night because they're bored sitting in here. But it's a decent space to have him in at night, and we always come out and let him out during the day. And then he can hop up the ramp here. That's just to cover up his food and water when it rains. And here's his actual house, which is way off of the ground. And all of the bunnies are pretty good climbers, but you do have to give them time to warm up to climbing depending on how steep it is and how new the area. There's just a couple of little areas for him to hunker down. The bunnies almost never stay in their little hutches, especially the smaller ones. Even if it's raining, you'll see Gandalf, he'll just pop out into the yard. So we really only have boxes or houses for them large enough to hang out when it's raining or if it's really, really cold. But it needs to get down to really cold for that to be a concern, or extremely hot. So most of the time, he'll be outside roaming around. Hey Gandalf. And this is part of the Lionhead area where Arthur and some of the girls live off and on. We'll have to do that maybe in this video or in a separate one. Here we have some really beautiful vines that unfortunately are kind of going dormant for the fall. What are you doing, buddy? Okay, and here we have Marin. They seem to love to hang out in this bush more than their house, which I don't know if that's a sign we're doing something right or wrong. There's Marin. So she's one of our girls. And them hanging out, again, helps them get used to each other and actually calm enough to mate. They don't do much of that during the day. It's more at night when they're put into a smaller place and a little bored. There Marin goes. Adelaide, one of our South African Mastiffs, is keeping watch for us. The dogs are very good about keeping watch, and they don't have a lot of prey drive, being the breed of Mastiff that they are, so they leave the bunnies alone, and we have no issues with the dogs trying to dig in or mess with the bunnies at all. And it does help us with a lot of prey management, or predator management, I should say. So jumping back to Gandalf's house. Gandalf's house is completely covered in this hardwire cloth, which again is considered fox proof as long as you use enough staples and larger staples of a heavier gauge to reinforce it. And fox proof meaning that the actual material is chew proof, but you do need to use nails or secure it in some way so a fox just can't push through, or a raccoon or anything else, a large bird. And then in the ground here, he does again have buried rocks, but we don't have the buried mesh in the ground all the way through. And here you can see what it looks like with the doors closed. And it just shuts nice and tight, because the bunnies, they can really squeeze in and out of very small areas if they want to. So it's important that whatever your enclosure is, especially if it's outdoors, it'd be very secure for the bunnies. And another important thing is that their house be pretty high off the ground. You don't have to go as extreme. Gandalf's saying, why have you closed me? Closed me out of my indoor den. It doesn't have to be quite that high, and some bunnies won't like to climb up as much, but for the most part, they will, as long as their stairs aren't too steep or anything. Gandalf, what are you up to, buddy? Gandalf is one of our friendlier bunnies. We've had him for the longest. Okay, I just wanted to show you guys a good setup if you are getting a bunny as a pet. Obviously, it wouldn't need to be quite this tall because this is some kind of aviary setup, but it's still a decent size for him to run during the day, as well as to be shut in at night and nice and safe and unable to get out, or for any predators to get in and bother him. And again, with Mirren being here, we typically leave her for a day or two, and once we're pretty confident they've mated, we'll put Mirren back with the rest of the mama herd, and then rotate another girl in here that hasn't been bred yet with Gandalf, so that there's no risk of Mirren having her babies. Go visit Mirren. She's a little bit more skittish. Here we go, nice run. And she's just gorgeous.